Okay, now video number 2 in this series are about barriers. But before I dive into barriers, I want to speak to you quickly about what I neglected to mention earlier when I talked about what real health care is, okay? I never want to negate the importance of our medical system, our healthcare system, and this is why. Our healthcare workers put themselves in danger every day because they are in contact with the sickest of us all. So, why is crisis care important? Crisis care is important because there are a certain segment of the population that have allowed their natural health status and immunity to drop. They haven't done what they should have done. Maybe in part because they haven't been educated properly. Maybe in part because they stiff-armed those kind of recommendations. I've experienced both in practice. Like I said, in my 27th year, I'm gaining clearer and clearer vision all the time because the scope and the spectrum of people that I'm able to connect with and interface with on a day-to-day basis is extensive. So I don't say that to brag. I'm just saying that as the longer I practice, the more exposure, the more I can glean from the people that I come in contact with and cross paths with. Now, having said that, our healthcare workers are vital. We have the best emergency response in the world here. We have some of the best emergency departments in the world here. We have some of the best crisis care. I'm not calling it healthcare because it technically is not. And there's some people who will take exception with that, and I completely understand. But this is the reason why I phrase it that way, and some would just call it semantics, and I'm okay with that. Here's why. Our bodies are built from food and food alone. That's my whole argument. It's not even an argument. It's a principle. It's a fact. It's truth. We are designed to internalize food, break it down in the stomach, pass it into the small intestine where absorption occurs. It's that simple. From there, the body will absorb what it wants and passes what it doesn't. You know the rest of the story, okay? From what it absorbs, it builds into our living tissue. That does not take place in the presence of a synthetic pharmaceutical that when I was a kid used to be made stateside, and now it's outsourced because of this right here. It's a fact. Look, that's not my opinion. Look it up. So here's the deal. Let's get back to focusing on what's constructive, what's positive. So I didn't want to omit or negate any aspect of what our health cares in institutions and hospitals do. Not going to do it because they have their purpose. I have my purpose. They have their niche. I have my niche. It's that simple. That's why we've been functioning, trying to move in the same interstate, but we're in different lanes, okay? Our intent is the same. We want to help people. We took an oath to help people. Do no harm first. That's the oath we all took. They're doing their paradigm. I'm doing my paradigm. They're going to attract the people that resonate with them. I'm going to attract the people with like-mindedness and that resonate with our paradigm and philosophy. So here's the thing. If your house is on fire, you go get that crisis care. It's the same analogy as if your house really is on fire. You're not going to call the carpenter. You're going to call the fire department. It's the same thing. Hospital workers, emergency care, they're the fire department, okay? We're the carpenters. We help you rebuild your body when your body is broken down and torn down. Sometimes we're the cleanup crew. We're the cleanup crew many times before we rebuild. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about barriers. Barriers are what we need to address before we start rebuilding the body. Because until you remove barriers, your body has an enormously hard time and an exceptionally hard time repairing itself. So let's itemize them. What are barriers? The barriers we test for here in the office that are the most common, and they are 5 in number, they are food intolerances. Now hear me when I say this. These are not food allergies, okay? They're food sensitivities or they're food intolerance, which means simply this. When you consume them, they create a stress above and beyond what they should in your body, right? Doesn't mean everybody or everybody in your family even. It just means you as an individual are stressed by certain foods. What are some of the most common ones I find? Of course, gluten. wheat, grains, white refined sugar, sometimes eggs. Eggs are known for having sensitivity in people, whether it's the yolk or the white. Very common. Genetically modified organisms or genetically engineered food, very common. So those are just some basic examples of things that, of foods that people have intolerances to, okay? It causes an inflammatory response in our intestinal tract, and that stresses the body. It stresses the whole body. It stresses the nervous system of the body. So that's what we're testing for, to try and support the better digestion of, but we also concurrently are working to improve an individual's food choices. Number 2, immune challenges. Now, immune challenges are bacterial, viral, fungal, parasitic, and what are called virulence factors. Think of virulence factors as just the die-off of virus. When your body's immune system, your white blood cells attack virus, whatever that trash left over is from the body beating the virus and defeating it, destroying it, those are virulence factors, and it's just kind of viral trash left over, exhaust, if you will. So those are what we test for. How does that affect us? How does that barrier impact our bodies? Well, if your body is overrun by bacteria, virus, fungus, or parasites, then it's a stressor to it. It can cause inflammation, like with this coronavirus and the coronavirus of 2002 to 2004, the SARS virus. When those viruses enter your lung fields, your body automatically detects a foreign presence. It initiates the immune cascade. The attack happens, and if the body has a weak immune system, the virus causes an inflammation that overruns the body, fluid builds up, the individual has difficulty breathing, and the rest is history. But if an individual has a strong immune system, it's able to keep the virus in check, keep it from over-multiplying, therefore keeping the inflammation down. That individual may never develop fluid in their lungs, and then eventually they build up antibodies to it, destroy it, and they win. That's in a nutshell how basic immune function works. So whether it's viral, bacterial, fungal, or parasitic, the body responds the same way. It attacks. And it uses white blood cells to do that. It uses antibodies to do that. All the more reason to keep your food choices at the highest or best possible place. Another reason is antibodies are made in large portion in our large intestine. So if you're eating for breakfast biscuits and gravy, if you're eating cereals, if you're eating things that are low in fiber, are congestive, a lot of dairy, then what you're doing is you're causing irritation to the gut lining, the large intestine especially. You'll increase the thickness of mucus as a response to the irritation in your intestines, and you decrease the amount of antibodies released into your system. So that's in part, I hope that made sense, that's in part what can deplete or depress your immune system. Number 3 and 4, let's put 3 and 4 together. Heavy metal presence and chemical. Right now, oh my goodness, you have Clorox, chlorine is everywhere because everyone's going crazy with these Clorox wipes, sanitation wipes, alcohol. So these are chemical stressors to the body. Our intent is right. We're trying to sanitize, right? But very easy for those chemicals to be absorbed by our body and stress our body, in particular our liver. And when the liver is affected, the whole body's affected, okay? So specifically, we test for heavy metals. We test for chemicals. We use resonance to do this. The most common heavy metals I see right now are mercury, definitely, aluminum, very common, cadmium, lithium, arsenic, polonium. All of these are very, very common metals. Chemicals I find routinely are chlorine, chloramines, acetones, acetates, fluorides, PCBs, plastics, a whole host of chemicals I find that people test for. And we handle those, and I'll explain that in the next video. And number 5 are scars to the skin surface. It's been said by anatomists right? People who study anatomy and physiology, that our peripheral nervous system is largely made up of sympathetic nerve fibers. Now, the name's not important, but just know that we have a very dense layer of nerve fibers in our skin. It's been said if you stripped away everything, bone, muscle, ligament, tendon, fluid, vessels, everything, but left the sympathetic nerve fibers, that you would still be recognizable. That's how dense they are. It would still give us like a hologram of who we are. So when you cut through them, you cause a capacitance or a confusion, a dysregulation of that part of your nervous system. We test for that. We're able to test for that. And people who have hysterectomy scars, or they have cesarean sections, episiotomies, surgical scars, tattoos, piercings, other wounds, many times they test active. So we help patients handle those. We help people handle those safely, effectively, so that the nervous system can re-enter a normal regulatory cycle. I hope I wasn't overly confusing with this. I know this is a pretty deep conversation with this video, but this is what we help people improve their overall global health status with. Identifying what's beneath the surface, what they don't know is there, and it has been probably the root of chronic illness the whole time. Because what we hear on a regular basis is, a lot of times, people have gone to primary care, they've gone to specialists, and they say, we just don't know where this is coming from. Let's try this. Let's try cortisone. Let's try prednisone. Let's try this drug, that drug. But ultimately, that doesn't necessarily address the root cause. The testing will. If you're interested, let us know. Call the office. I'll put the number again at the bottom of this video, and you can call for the consultation. We offer a free quick consultation to see if you're a candidate or not. And from there, we explain what the cost is up front, so you know there's no surprises. And then that way you can find out what the root cause of your issues are. I hope you have a blessed Tuesday. I am going to do another one in between patients, another one of these videos in between patients to discuss protocols, programs, what they look like to help remove some of that confusion. Okay? Hope you have a fantastic day. Watch these when you can. Rewatch them, share them. Give us a thumbs up, and please subscribe to this channel if you enjoy this content. God bless you, and we'll talk to you soon.